This video is not intended to encourage or glorify any kind of drug use. The sole purpose of these videos is to educate you on the dangers of what these substances can do to you. Please do not do any of the acts mentioned in this video. I repeat, do not do any of the acts mentioned in this video. Before the video starts, I want to give a quick shout out to my sponsor for today's video, PawSwing. PawSwing has created an automatic cat feeding and grooming machine for your furry friends. They sent me one for my cat Ozzy, who loves it. They send you a package that is very easy to open and set up. The directions come with it on how to set it up, but it was so easy that you might not even need it. You don't need screwdrivers or any types of tools to put this machine together. You just simply click the pieces together until it all goes into place. Once you have it set up, you need to charge it, preferably overnight, and there's a power button you simply press to turn it on. My grooming machine has been powered on for over 2 weeks now with just one charge from when I first set it up. It will take at least a week for your cat to get used to it, so do not get discouraged when your cat doesn't automatically go inside of it. They're very curious creatures, but they are also very cautious. Once they get in it, however, they won't want to stop. My favorite part about this machine is the automatic feeder. I've always wanted to get one myself, and this is the perfect product for that. You can set it to how many times a day you want to feed your cat, and what time you want to start and end. I used to just put dry food in a bowl for Ozzy, but now there's an automatic feeder for him, and I love it. You can even mix in some treats into the machine if it's taking longer than you want for your cat to go inside. Also, the main thing, the self-grooming part is very fun for the cats because they love to clean themselves and it makes them feel really good. Each day you're going to want to make the hole smaller by moving the day ticker and putting the entrance back into place. They will always fit in it, so don't worry. You can buy this machine from their website that I will leave in the description box below. Thank you again to PawSwing for sponsoring this video, and let's get started. PawSwing and I are doing a giveaway for one of their self-grooming machines. All you have to do is like and comment down below your kitty's name and why you'd want the machine. Best comment will win the prize. Again, thank you to PawSwing for sponsoring this video. If I could talk anybody into not partaking in this horrible, life-stealing, evil drug, then let it be known you have been warned. I know this doesn't happen to everybody, but I have noticed a theme in my research on the subject. Someone has great times at first, but after a while, their mind begins to become more and more susceptible to these extreme cases of delusions and psychosis. You will eventually run into police with the antics, and you will do extremely shameful and damaging things to your reputation, personal belongings, and freedom. And the more times you are putting giant shots of coke into your arms, the more likely you are to occasionally miss. If you are like me, it will be many times. It only seems feasible that out of thousands of shots with the drug that clogs your veins, it is literally impossible to not fuck it up. And even if you do get it right, the shit travels straight to your heart. There is literally no way to safely partake in intravenous cocaine. I have had deep vein thrombosis, blood clots, endocarditis, minor sepsis, you name it. They said if I would have waited a day or two more, they would have had to amputate my arm. If there was a way to safely enjoy it, I would have figured it out already. Please heed my message and just save yourself the heartbreak, literally your heart, not to mention your family. There are plenty of other enjoyable recreational drugs that won't steal everything from you in such a short period of time, and some that can even benefit your life in a positive way. I started off relatively benignly with drugs, choosing to only smoke weed for a long time, before graduating to psychedelics, then opiates, alcohol, benzos, and eventually ended up, as of about 2+ years ago, getting heavy into some intravenous cocaine. I had initially picked up the needle after a friend hit me with some Dilaudid, but they were expensive, and after trying cocaine, it was like, holy shit, this is taking me right to the edge, but not past it. I'd get the audio distortions, like hearing music become electrified coming through a tiny can. This was my favorite effect. The waves of orgasmic euphoria, the rushing of the train, tinnitus, etc. I quickly became pretty highly addicted to this feeling, and for a while I could get off on like 100 to 120 milligrams, which eventually became 150. Then I started speedballing occasionally, with Dilaudid and heroin, and sometimes do goofball shots with methamphetamine, which at first was awesome, prolonging the bell ringer, but very quickly seemed to be doing damage to my brain. I was increasing the dosages of the coke up into the 200, then 250, then 300, then 350 range. I was spending so much on these massive coke shots that I couldn't afford to buy any opiates with it anymore. This was really badass fish scale cocaine that would dissolve instantly and turn totally to water. I'd wear out my veins as time went on and have fond memories associated with each vein that I used to hit. Oh, when I was able to hit that vein, it was good times, and I could jam Red Hot Chili Peppers and chill. I eventually started getting extreme paranoia that would start to come on with these repeated and increased dosages, thinking there were women outside my window or sneaking up on me, or hidden in my mattress, closet, or hallway. There were times I'd run outside in my boxers in freezing cold weather, climb the fence, and insist that this woman I had been with had jumped the fence and was hiding in the tree. I would call into my neighbors' backyards, "You can't get away with this forever," and shit like that. At first, I attributed this to my occasional meth usage, but it quickly also began occurring when I was only shooting coke. I went to rehab while coming down off of multiple stimulants and drugs and got clean. I came back a month or two later and decided that maybe I would try to take it easy this time. So I got some coke and loaded up a smallish shot, 200 milligrams. I quickly realized that my tolerance had not fallen at all in months of time off, 60-ish days. I still required 350 milligrams to get high, and inevitably it came with all sorts of health issues, so I took another long hiatus, only using occasionally and never really enjoying it again. When I started getting up into above 400 milligrams, the effects started to take a serious toll on my heart, but I wasn't getting the music effects as much anymore, so I kept trying for higher doses foolishly. I would often do a shot, then start to try to sit down or do something, even just grab a cotton to place on the site, and inevitably my legs would give out and I would crash into something. My heart rate would be above 180, and I would feel like perhaps this time would be the time I would die. I guess it would be similar to an awake seizure. I would try to stand up and the coke would continually sit my ass back down. This was not really fun anymore. My family would know that I had shot up if they heard a crash in the other room and find me behind furniture or with shit sprawled all over the room, with me on the floor or kneeling. Somewhere along the line, the dosages were not doing it anymore, so I kept on increasing, chasing that bell ringer that never seemed to occur anymore. I would only have a massive rush for maybe a few seconds before it became a full-scale freak-out or health scare. I ended up spending 2 to 3 weeks in the hospital after they did a major surgery, 1 inch by 1 inch gaping holes in 4 different places on muscles in my arms in order to remove a blood clot and treat me for deep vein thrombosis. I had to take blood thinners for months after. You'd think I learned from this, but I started shooting again while I was still on blood thinners. When I did use, this extreme psychosis and paranoia returned in full force as well. This in turn also started happening with my family members instead of just a woman. I would do a shot and be certain that there were family members hiding behind the door and would feverishly open it, shine my flashlight into the hallway, look under the door, check the walls for cracks and secret cameras, do all sorts of sick crazy things that I normally wouldn't give a fuck about or even care what the hell they were doing. I'm usually not doing anything worth looking at, and if they want to waste their time, then that's just them being sick or having no life. I would stab into mattresses like a crazy person with all sorts of objects, syringes, screwdrivers, knives, kick the mattress and bed frame, thinking I would kick someone who was hiding there, tear apart my room, check the corners of the walls, because I was certain they had created tunnels or ways to observe or fire things at me from tiny pin-sized holes in the walls. I mostly have stayed off of it for a while, several months at least between uses, and noticed, for the most part, that my mental health had returned to normal. I still am just a little bit on edge sometimes, like a little bit too attentive to or aware to what's going on in the rooms around me, or wondering what noises were and stuff, but nothing seriously psychotic as far as behavior. I made the terrible mistake of using again very recently. Went out and bought 2 grams of some Fire Blow. The first time I used it, I did a 0.25 gram shot, thinking I would take it light and that drinking would help, and immediately went into deep field psychosis when I was just trying to listen to some music. While I'm still holding the injection site, I spring into the psychotic combing of the room. I repeated this experiment and didn't get any sleep that night. Extremely hellish. But this last usage was the absolute culmination of all the scary-ass psychotic shit that I've ever done. I took what was maybe 0.2 grams, then added a little more visually, and broke that all down with the 8mg dilly, and did that all in one shot. Now mind you, when I first started, this would have been an incredible and enjoying rush, but the point is that my mind has somehow been ruined by all of this usage, and that I can no longer enjoy IV cocaine without extreme mental disturbances. Point being, I do the shot, and I'm immediately going into heavy dysphoria and paranoid freakout. It's not even fun, and I think I'm being watched by my family. I decide I'm gonna tone it down with some bourbon, so I reach to pour the glass, and I must have gotten hit with some kind of weird waking seizure. I spilled the glass all over the place and get stuck in some sort of paralyzed shape in midair, and my breathing is so heavy and I'm falling into the walls. Well, my brother lives in the other room, and he is completely aware I'm crazy, so I imagine he gets the rest of my family. I have started going into some serious hallucinations. I suddenly realized that my brother's boyfriend is under my bed with a hidden camera and perhaps a knife or needle. I believe that they have another friend behind my dresser, and that my brother himself is hiding out behind the door of my bathroom or my closet, or both by use of tunnel. I am seizing on the ground, but I am watching shapes of them peeking out from under the different places, shoving objects at me, wooden stakes, shooting liquids at me with needles, mini cameras with lights trained on me. I'm yelling at this point incoherently, and the seizure is stopping me from doing anything but grunts and growls and half sentences and words. My sister's boyfriend comes to the door, which further makes me think this is a giant conspiracy going on, and I'm fully ready to fight 4 people from 4 different directions, but I can't stand up. They tell me that the cops are coming, and I'm saying, go ahead, this isn't right to be in my room and under my bed. This standoff continues until the cops arrive, and I'm still stuck in a fit on the ground, and I'm hoping the cops will see these intruders with their lights, which I clearly see them pointing at the cops. I see their punches and hands grabbing and trying to hit me even around the legs of the cops, telling the cops, how can you let them hit you like that? Can't you see this isn't right? Etc, etc. After a long period of struggling but not being combative, they let me onto a stretcher somehow, and it's taking a team of them to deal with me. I'm still convinced I saw my dad, even though he was apparently 100 miles away. Luckily, I knew one of the close responders as a cousin, only realized this later, and luckily they forced 2 shots of midazolam into my hand and arm because I finally calmed down. I still truly felt that this happened, and that the cops must have caught it on their cameras for a full 24 hours while I was drying out in the ER. The worst news is that after taking all my blood and shit, the doctor came up and told me before I left he thought I had contracted endocarditis based on some sort of levels of chemicals that they test for. This is basically an infection of the heart. I don't have a serious case of it yet, but it basically is this buildup of shit in your heart valves that stops your heart from working properly. I imagine this is from 2+ years of heavy IV cocaine usage, brief period of meth use, as well as occasional black tar, dilaudid, and China. I drink a lot and use tobacco/vapes, but I think that the cocaine is clearly the culprit here. The treatment is a 6-week stay in a hospital hooked up to a main line where they feed IV antibiotics into your system 24/7 in an attempt to reverse the deleterious effects. This would interfere with my schooling and my job, and the bills will assuredly follow me for years and years and years. I know that's a small price to pay for my life, but not only did this affect my health, but my relationship with my family, my pocketbook, spent well over $30,000 on coke in 2 years, and that's just what I have documented. Put my freedom at risk, and left my arms looking absolutely horrible.